So, we have two questions that were submitted online for this Q&A here. You guys ready? You prepared?
We are.
All right, good.
Born ready.
All right. So, first question is, they, speaking about the spies, so this is from today's message, they roamed the land for 40 days. Seems that 40 days comes up frequently within the Bible. Is there a deeper meaning to this 40-day phenomenon? So,
Dan.
40.
I did just get finished reading the Old Testament, so
All right.
clearly I should. No. Maybe is my answer. There's a lot of numbers that crop up a lot in the Bible, like 7 and 3, and they can help us from a symbol perspective, like remember things more clearly, especially in terms of like poetry. Like poetry is often organized in a certain way that helps us remember it more clearly, and numbers are a part of that. Whether it has any biblical significance, I would say probably not, but it is a good memory tool.
Yeah, numbers are fascinating in Scripture because there's a lot of themes. I don't know that we have biblical authority to like be certain on what they exactly mean, but Jesus is tempted for 40 days in the wilderness. The flood is 40 days and 40 nights. Israel is in the wilderness for 40 years, and this 40 days of exploration. There is a sense of testing and trying, like judgment and testing that comes through those 40-day things. So you could argue that God is testing these spies, giving them time to not knee-jerk react. I mean, at least whether the number has significance. Over a month, they've got time to think and talk and work out what are they going to do to respond to what they're seeing. And I think that I was just talking with somebody about the question is, what's my perspective on what I see? Because you could look at the sons of Anak there that are giants, and you could be like, wow, that's going to be rough. I don't know if we could do that. Or you can look at it like, so God said we're beating them too? This is going to be awesome. Yeah. It's how you look at it, and you had 40 days to kind of do that. Yeah.
Great answers. I have nothing to add, but I will anyway. I think the significance of the number 40 is that it is a significant amount of time, right? That 40 days is not a short time to go fasting like Jesus. It's not a short time to survey the land. And so whether it was actually 40 days or not, I think it is a significant amount of time. And I think that it comes up frequently lets us tie all these stories together, right? Mm-hmm. So you kind of did that for us, Mark, but like what is like a common thread that's happening in each of these stories where 40 days or 40 years comes up? Well, it's a testing, it's a trial period. So that is useful for us. Like Jesus is fasting. It's in Matthew and Luke that is mentioned, but Matthew, he's like going out of his way to show us that Jesus is the new Moses, right? He's the only one who records the murdering of the children 2 years and younger, much like Pharaoh did. So you have this thread, and then he says that Jesus was in the wilderness for 40 days. You can't not think of Moses when that comes up. So I don't know, like the number itself, I don't know what the significance is, but clearly this is a theme that the biblical authors picked up on and said, this is a thing we're doing, and we're going to tie it together so that you can see what's happening. The other question is, as a parent of little ones, I admit to feeling like I don't want to leave this earth just yet. Like you said, I know heaven is amazing, but I can't help but feel a loss at thinking of going there and missing out on my family. What would you say to parents or people who feel a great responsibility on earth, and how to put those feelings into perspective?
That's a great question.
A good question, yeah, for sure.
There was a period of time where I really related to what Paul said. I can't remember the verse specifically, but where he talks about death being gain and wanting to move on and be with Christ, but that he had a calling, a service to perform on earth with the other churches. And I feel that there is... Paul presents this mentality where we are looking forward to the things that are valuable, and we are looking forward to time with God after this world, but also a appreciation and excitement and a value for what we have here. I don't necessarily think that being excited for heaven to come necessitates giving up on what we have here. If that makes sense.
It's good, yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah, Paul's words come to mind as well. And like when you read to live is Christ, to die is gain, like there, and that whole section in Philippians, like there isn't it's not a death wish. Like he's not,
Right.
would someone just kill me, please?
Yeah.
That's not what's going on. But there is a contentment with death, like that it is gain. Like for me to die is a gain for me. And so he's aware of that, but it's not a shirking of responsibilities here on earth. And I think Christians, sometimes that's kind of the trap we can fall into, is that heaven is going to be so great, and so, and depending on like your eschatology, you can, like, God's going to destroy the earth or whatever, and so we just are like, well, we'll just wait it out. We're not going to do anything. Like, and I think that if that is, you've kind of gone too far the other direction that way. I think clearly from Paul, his life, we see that there's work to be done now, and for parents, that is the call that's on your life, is to parent and to raise up those kids.
Yep.
And it shouldn't be I wish I would die so I don't have to take care of these kids and I could be in heaven. Like, that's not what we should be going after.
Right.
But there's a responsibility here I have on earth, and I know the joys of parenting will be tenfold or infinite-fold in heaven.
Yeah.
Will I be parenting in heaven? Pardon me, hopes not. But like whatever the joys that come from parenting,
Yes.
I will experience those joys so much more in heaven.
I think some of that comes from, I mean, we talk about going to heaven through death or going to heaven through the Lord coming back and gathering us. So there's two different ways you can go to heaven. Obviously, both of them would have you missing out on the young years of your children as they grow and experiences. And I would say, I would think the same thing. I don't think when Paul says in Philippians 1 about to die is gain, but I'm going to stay here because it's better for you. There is benefit to it. So I don't think it's wrong to think there's benefit to staying here. It's just that I'm not thinking this is better. I'm not thinking this is better. I don't think this is the answer. And if the time comes where I'm going to be with the Lord, whatever I think I've lost, I guarantee you haven't lost it. I think that's the thing, because Jesus talks about in heaven there's no marriage or giving in marriage, and it starts, I think that passage above all starts to make us go, oh, heaven's going to be, I don't want that. I want to stay here and stay married. So we kind of like, oh, everything's going to change. But I don't think Jesus' point, it was so confrontational to the Sadducees who were trying to gotcha him, that it sometimes comes off to us like, don't think heaven's going to be any good. It's going to be horrible. And you won't even have a relationship. You won't even know your spouse, and you won't be like anything happened. I think that's so far from reality, because I think that anything that is great here on earth is a million times better in our experience in heaven. So my relationship with Dana, I don't think it gets downgraded. I think it gets upgraded. Whatever that means, I may not be able to comprehend it right now. So with my kids, I think if I miss out on a few years of their life here, I've got 1 billion years to spend with them. I think the holding on to the faith that it isn't, just because it's unknown doesn't mean that and feels like it's, this stuff here is precious to me, doesn't mean that stuff won't be precious and more than this. So I think that's where I hold on to that promise. Not, like you said, not a death wish, not like, oh, I can't wait to get to heaven, so let me get out of here. But I know where I'm going. So everything I do here becomes about, I know where my destiny is. It gives me confidence to face the giants, to face the struggles, to face the battles, to parent, because it's not just about this moment. It's about eternity. It's about this promise that we have that goes on forever and ever, that isn't a diminishment of anything. So when I struggle with, well, if I go to heaven now, I'm going to lose, that's where the enemy likes to trap me. In the sense of loss, heaven is a loss. I guarantee you heaven is no loss. There is no loss in heaven. I think that's what I try to hold on to.
Good. And do we have a question from our audience member?
No.
We moved on?
I could tell from the look.
All right. All right. Well, thank you again for tuning in to another Q&A session. And keep those questions coming, and we'll see you next week.